we do have a quorum being present at, I don't know who wants to. Jason, you feel like taking some minutes?
Yeah, that's no problem.
All right, great, because I'll keep this pretty brief and just follow the agenda down because I think it's should go pretty quick. So I'll call the meeting to order. Finance Committee and CIB meeting of April 4th, 2024. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so in the following manner. Sign on to the town website and go to tonight's meetings and download the agenda and click on the link that will get you into the Zoom meeting for the FinCom CIP agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. Okay, good. So the first order of business is are the approval of the minutes of March 28th, 2024. Pete would dutifully prepared those. They are in the shared drive, and I think he emailed everybody with them anyways.
Mhm.
Does
He
anybody want
did.
to make, yeah, does anybody want to make a motion or care to make a motion to approve those minutes?
So
I'll make
moved.
a motion.
Okay, thanks, Mary. And we have a second from Greg.
Second. Yep.
All right, great. Thanks. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Jason, yes.
Yeah.
Mary, yes.
Yes.
All right. Greg, yes. And Chris Berglund, yes. Okay, good. So it's unanimous. Thank you. Next order of business is just quickly, let's we've been charged, and I don't know if anybody had I know Greg was on, I think had the patience to sit through the select board meeting last night. It was a long one, but they did basically solidify, I don't know that solidified. They did get a warrant, articles of the warrant on. I did upload my notes on those. I don't think I got them all, but or in the right order, but you can kind of go through them. The biggest one is going to be the budget article for us, and the capital articles. Of course, they're always there, and we'll address one additional item that came up in the last week shortly. But the crux of it, and encourage everybody to go back and at least catch the piece on the budget and the town administrator's comments. Jennifer, she was pretty transparent about the needs of the town and the options that we have, and basically led up to getting a unanimous endorsement or a unanimous vote to add a warrant article on the warrant that involves a Proposition 2.5 override for operating budget. There's some amounts to be filled in. I was hoping we might have a preliminary budget for this evening's discussion, but we don't at this point. But one of the takeaways for the Finance Committee and the CIB is going to be trying to assemble an educational piece for the town. And this may take the form of, or at least I think as we've discussed in the past, taking the form of probably a presentation, or not probably, will be a presentation in person at the senior center. It will not be able to be simulcast from the senior center, so it will require people to attend in person at that. But the WBPA will be able to record it, so it will be able to be aired for rebroadcast at any time up to the town meeting. We're hoping to do this for the end of April. So that said, I guess at this point, since there is the only thing that we're going to be talking about, I mean, I guess from the framework of this, and if there's some slides, Ray actually, I don't think anybody, and if anybody else did some stuff too, let me know and shoot it along to me. But um, I did upload some slides, which is kind of an amalgam of what we had done at last year's town meeting in May rather. And then just some slides added to it. The Ray come up with some ideas as to, looking at, the history of revenues, just revenue growth, history of expenditures, sources of those of revenues, which is really a big piece because we've seen, like the state aid just not really keeping pace at all. And I think that's probably going to have to be part of the discussion and really showing that expense growth has really not been, flagrant at all. And it's been very modest, actually, but it just can't be sustained by 2.5%. And um, the lack of growth that we've had, or we have not had sufficient new growth to fund that difference between the lack and the decrease in state aid over the years and the increase in expenses with inflation and so forth. So, I mean, I don't want to get too hung up on that at this point. I guess what I'd like to do is for this meeting is grab an opportunity to get some volunteers if anybody wants to be part of the group. So what I'd like is to kind of convene a task force, because I think doing it in this committee could be kind of challenging. I think a task force possibly sit down. I've done this with other boards where we get, 2 or 3 people to just sit down and kind of go through, come back with some ideas to the full committee, and then refine it as we go along. It's going to include digesting a lot of data. I've uploaded a lot of data. I've worked with Leslie to get. Leslie's been very good in giving me a lot of good stuff on town finance, both sources and uses. And then and then the other piece is going to be identifying some of the DLS website information as far as and we really can't figure out how many towns are going through an override now, but I think that's going to be an important component. What is that? What are some of the, if you watch the meeting from last night, one of the things that the town administrator talked about was, if we don't get an override, what's at stake? And it looks like Ray's just piping in now. Thanks for joining us, Ray. We're on the second item and just talking a little bit about this presentation that we're going to have to craft. But one of the things that she talked about was, some of the things that she would look that may have to, fall off or be, substantially reduced in the town's budget. And she mentioned senior center, she mentioned trash, she mentioned library, and so on and so forth. And the challenges with any one of those, if that was going to be the option that the town chose, for the library would risk certification, and if it doesn't get certification, then we all lose our library cards and we can't borrow with CW Mars and so on and so forth. And then the process to get that back is very complicated. She mentioned trash removal, taking trash off the town not financing that. And if that happens, I mean, that's another, I think just make for a long meeting. I'll leave it at that. But again, if you do that, you're canceling these contracts. Getting them back would be, if the town does ever look to go back to that, would be a challenge. So I think that's all got to be in this educational process as well. I think it's also got to be coordinated with all of the department, all the departments showing that we have not been foolishly increasing spending on any basis. What we have done is to keep with the times. Whether it be the schools, whether it be public safety, library, whatever. I mean, these are things that have had to occur to keep maintain our credentialing, as well as the desire for people to live here and use our schools, use our services, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of a complex ask, but it's I'm opening it up. I know everybody's got plans, everybody's got families, and I'm sure, and many of us are on many other committees, but I'll certainly participate. I'd like to be part of it as well, because I think there would be, I think, and I welcome as many as, if everybody wants to do it, that's great too. We could still call it a task force, as far as I know, but we just can't make any decisions. Because we would have to post public meetings. These are meetings we would not post, but could hold either Zoom or in person.
Chris, you're calling it a task force. I thought the name was supposed to be what, working group?
Yeah, working task force, whatever. I think I thought task force was okay, but working committee, whatever we want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah. We just probably want to make sure we got the right name so nobody complains about something irrelevant.
Right. Well, we just whatever we'll call it whatever we can to make sure that we comply with public meeting laws, or to make sure that we don't have to comply with public meeting laws on this. We will have to take minutes or notes. I think is the way, because I know we had done this at on one of the housing committees I'm on, and that we had to submit notes to the town clerk, but brief, not as complex as what Pete does or what Jason does. Just keeping it. And Pete's joining us now too. So Jason, I hope you got that. Pete, I think Jason's doing some minutes tonight, but you're welcome to take over if you like. But thanks for joining.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
And great.
Don't worry. I'm keeping note of who showed up late and who didn't.
Okay,
It'll
great.
all be in the report.
Great. All right. So I'm opening the floor is open for nominations or volunteers. That's all I'm saying, and I'll definitely take the lead for since I've got a lot of the information anyways, and step back if somebody else wants to take the lead. I'm fine with that too.
Well, I'm happy to participate.
Yeah, I'll throw my hat in the ring too.
All right, Greg, good.
Yeah, I can help out where needed, and I believe last week Kalina said that she would be interested in being in there too. But okay. I don't know. We can confirm with her over the next few days through email.
Okay. Good. All right. And Mary, you're welcome to pop in. I mean, I don't want to exclude anybody either, but by the same token, we will be bringing back the product for final, because obviously this is going to be a committee effort. I expect everybody to be participate in this presentation. I think that would be critical, because I think one of the things as committee board member or committee members, we're also residents, and we don't have to make any kind of a case that we support this, we don't support it, it's whatever. It's just, here are the facts. And as as residents, what kind of a town do we want? I mean, I guess that's it. And the other thing is, and again, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not taking a position here as yet, but I think we all will certainly at some point. What are we saying to the folks that work for us too? I mean, that work in our town. I mean, that's kind of the other piece. And I just want to, I know times are tough, and it's really hard. And frankly, I wish we didn't have to do this, but by the same token, I think again, it's going to fall on our shoulders, and good or bad, I think we're the ones that are going to have to kind of, I don't know about lead the charge, but we're going to have to be part of it. So that's it. So, all right. I won't kill that. I did upload some slides. I mean, again, with there, it's probably a little confusing. I'm still trying to refine some of the data with Leslie as far as the 10-year histories and stuff like that. Also going to hopefully get some 5-year forward looking, because one of the things with any kind of an override vote is this isn't something we want to do every year. So if we do get support at both the town meeting level and at the ballot box, then we would want to have, make it a sufficient enough in the tax levy. Maybe we would not likely levy that entire amount, but have it available for future years so that we're not coming back to the well year after year. Okay, I think enough said on that, unless anybody has any questions. And I'll follow up with everybody who's volunteered and just see what the availability is. I mean, I'd like to do something before next Thursday. I mean, we don't have to. Again, what are good nights for people? That's kind of an oxymoron, right?
Third Tuesday of the week. Yeah.
I mean, is one night better than, is Thursday really the only good night for everybody?
Hey, we're talking specifically next week, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty open. I don't have any evening obligations. Were you going to help call a FinCom meeting on the 11th?
I was going to do that. Yes. It's just to kind of round back and see where we were. Because the other thing that we'll have to deal with is future agenda items too, because we still have to go through and look at capital, make sure we have all those votes in and everything, and kind of just plot out how we're going to take these things, what other additional information we may need in order to make decisions. Well, let me do this. I'll shoot out an email after this meeting, and just I'll pick and choose a date. It may be the Wednesday before next Wednesday, but I'll Tuesday or Wednesday, but I'll see what's available and what's
Just a
available.
heads up, Chris, I know Tuesday won't work for me, but Monday, Wednesday, both open.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can do Monday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Okay.
Just a question when you want to do it.
Yeah, I think and when Zoom's available too, because I think Zoom will probably be the best way to get going here.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of capital, we'll move down to the next agenda item unless anybody has any questions on 2. We have a capital request from the Parks Department that was forwarded to me early this week for the resurfacing of courts at Goodale Park. And I don't know, I see Jim Bedonia.
Yeah, I'll throw in my video.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
How are you?
Good, thanks for, oh, nice. I like that. Well, it's very appropriate after today's weather.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can give us, I did forward the email that Jen sent around to everybody, and I uploaded it to our shared drive. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know that I need to. There it is. To share it, but so the way it reads is I don't have all the attachment. Well, I have 2 pictures, and then I have Jen's email. And I think
Yeah, I
you
don't think the
copied
quote is in there, but those pictures were the only attachments, I think.
Yeah.
I don't have a copy of the quote, but those numbers that were in her email came from the quote.
Okay. So it's about 70 grand, a little over 70 grand.
To do both courts, yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, so I guess the key is those pictures show that there's some very worn areas, primarily, not to put any blame on anybody, but it's in the pickleball area.
it's the pickleball people, right?
Yeah. And it actually in the asphalt is actually kind of wearing itself. And there's some cracks, so we want to get this addressed sooner than later so that we don't have any further damage to the area.
So has this been done before? Is this the first time?
Yeah,
since
so I think the courts were put in like the 2011 time frame, and this should be like an every 5-year activity, and it's been done once
Okay.
since. In that time it was a little overdue. We had, I don't know if you remember the issue with the Candleville, what do you call it? They had a memorial, a candlelight memorial one night for someone.
Oh, yeah.
And it got wax all over the place, and in the process of
Yeah.
cleaning that up, it needed to be fixed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
luckily that hasn't happened again. But
Okay.
Jim,
that's what I was trying to think of.
what does it mean to say resurfacing? Can you explain what that plan is?
It's basically a seal coating. But the both courts, tennis and basketball, is seal coated, and then it's a seal coat also that basically paints the lines for the boundaries, free throws, 3-point stuff, center court, all of the outline of the tennis courts and the pickleball courts. So it's all part of it together.
Okay. So it's just it's level, it's not structurally problematic, it just needs a new surfacing.
Yeah, so the issue is it's starting to crack, and if you allow it to continue and water gets in there in the winter and freezes, then it will start, becoming problematic and probably need asphalt replaced. So trying to stay ahead of things to keep them in good shape. And I think the plan with this is to add more pickleball, because at the time we did this, we got the pickleball added pretty inexpensively, and we learned since then. So we positioned it to use the existing nets, but it doesn't need to be so big. So we actually can spin them and get 2 per tennis court instead of 1 per tennis court. So that part of the plan is to reorient the pickleball courts so we can actually get more of them out there.
But we'll still be able to play tennis, right?
Yeah, the tennis courts will stay intact. But what they'll do is they'll have to get temporary nets, because technically those tennis nets are too big for
Too high.
pickleball,
Yeah,
but they make do. They would get temporary nets and move them to the pickleball area.
Okay. So this is something that we should probably be tracking on our capital spreadsheet, correct? Because it's really going to be
Yeah, I would
probably
say
something
so.
every 5 years is what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think a 5-year time frame is probably a good estimate. I don't remember exactly when it was done last, but it's been a while.
5-year life. Okay.
I said we should have already done it twice technically, but
Are CPC funds available for this or no? I mean,
so the first time we asked for this, we asked for CPC and it was denied because they said it was maintenance. However, and when I was talking to Jen the other night, she did say, I think it's too late for CPC now, but she did say that there's a way to argue that there's a provision in there, and don't quote me because I'm not looking at it, but something about preserving the longevity of the court. So I could argue that that's what this does, and it's not just maintenance. So, but when it was originally brought to them the first time, they denied it because they said it's maintenance, and I didn't realize about this provision. So I don't know. I do think, with most of the stuff, it's perception, and if I could get people to understand that this does prolong the life of it, which is allowed with CPC funds. But again, that's up to that committee to agree with or disagree with.
and they're not taking anything under consideration before town meeting at this point, or I don't know what the process is.
Not that I know of. I don't think they are. And I think it's probably too late in the process, although because usually they'll take things late, but usually they already have a placeholder, and I don't believe there's a placeholder, so I think it's really probably too late this time.
Okay.
As I remember the guidelines for CPC, repurposing as in creating more pickleball courts, is an allowed expense within the CPC. So for that portion of it, you can probably rationalize it. It's payable under CPC.
Yeah, and I think the extending of the life is should be there as well. So between both of those, I think we should be able to, because I'd have to, I want to get both courts done, and we're not adding pickleball to the tennis area. So I mean, not to the basketball area. So I'd have to get the other piece of it through.
Maybe I'll follow up with Ginger to see if there's some way we can get at least a piece of it through CPC or something like that. Again, I'm just like, yeah, as you've witnessed, we're pretty well tapped on we're looking down every hallway we can to get capital funds for this round, but I think let's at least look there. If we can't get it, that's fine, and we'll definitely consider it. Does any other questions on this? I mean, I think it's certainly something.
I just have a quick
What was the
one.
cost? What was the request? Again?
The request is $70,290 for the resurfacing of the two courts. Tennis is $44,998, and the basketball court is $25,292.
Jim, does adding more pickleball or kind of reconfiguring the design add to the cost at all, or is it the same no matter what? Just because I know we have that new pickleball facility that just opened up in Wachusett Plaza up on Route 12. Wondering if the outdoor courts will get as much use as they did in prior year.
Yeah, so I believe this does include the reconfiguration of them, because when we did it last time, they only charged us $250 a court. Now the price has nearly doubled since last time. So I don't know if that piece of it is doubled as well, but yeah, it would be more money. And we had talked about that. So I'm not the one that requested the quote. Steve Blake did, and we had talked about it. So I'm pretty sure he told them that that's what our plan was. And we, so kind of interesting segue just for your knowledge. People have been trying to reserve time at the pickleball, to play pickleball in the past years. And Tuesday at the Parks Commission meeting, because we've done some things here and there over the years, and it's turned into a bit of a nightmare. We basically only permit organizations to reserve the courts. Otherwise, it's all first come, first serve, and we have fees with that. The fees that we were charging weren't necessarily applicable, and they also needed insurance. So we found from the town that we could potentially have a waiver and all this other stuff. But the Parks Commission decided to deny any permits that are like that because it's too much of a hassle to track down the money, the liability waivers and things like that. And they're not an organization. So it's first come, first serve. People can go down and use it whenever they want for free. So my guess is, at least outdoors, they would prefer to be there than the pickleball place indoors that they'd have to pay for.
And no residency requirement or anything like that. Is it just first come, first serve, right?
Well, technically there's a sign saying that you must be a resident. However, we're not allowed to enforce that because it was built with CPC funds, which is matched by the state. So technically anybody that paid taxes put something into that.
Gotcha. Man, I love it. Well, I'm glad we got the money back somewhere. That's good. That's good. That's good. Anything else? Any other questions for Jim? Can we get a copy of the quote, just to see how
yeah, I'll try to get it from Steve. I don't think I physically have it myself.
Just electronic is fine. Just if you can scan it.
I'll try to get a copy from Steve and I'll send it to you. And
that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I know things are tight with capital. I had sent this in a while ago and I just never followed up. And I was like, hey, I just want to make sure that this is on the list. And she's like, no. So
it is now. Don't worry.
but yeah, I do think you should just kind of maybe on a 5-year plan keep that out there. you know, as
Okay.
you're doing that, to kind of consider, just for your own, planning purposes. And, you know, let me know if there's anything else you need, or if you're gonna
Okay.
able to fund it, or if not, if we
I
want to
will.
try
I'll definitely let you
CPC,
know.
or however we want to proceed.
Yeah. Well, I think what maybe what we'll do is move in a parallel, because maybe I'll follow up with Jen just real quick, just to see who I should contact over at CPC, just to see if there's, and maybe you could do the same, just to see if there's a chance to get it slotted for this town meeting. But if it's not, that's fine, and we'll move forward on our end.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, I don't necessarily want to, I mean, push really hard for this town meeting if it's gonna be a problem, because we wouldn't be able to do it until the school stops using it, because they have tennis matches and things like that. And resurfacing is better in the fall anyway.
Oh,
So
okay.
if it had to move to October, I don't think it's a huge, and I just would like to get it done by October, because
You like to get it
before
done.
winter, I
Yeah.
want to get the cracks sealed, that's all.
Gotcha. That makes total sense. Okay. Great. Thanks. Any other questions for Jim? Comments? Well, thanks for your hard work on the Parks Commission too. Really appreciate it, because
You're welcome.
it's a great benefit to town. It really is. Love it.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah.
Soon a new softball field will be available too, so.
Nice. Where's that going? Over by the on the
Minster.
same. Oh, really?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, all the bids
Oh,
came
that's right.
in
Yeah, it was
within
there.
budget.
Yeah. So you're
So-
good. So you're ready to go.
Yep, the,
When's that gonna go? When's that gonna be done? It will be done by the summer, or
it
end of
said,
summer?
the bidder put, the bidder who we awarded to said 120 days from the start time. I'm not sure 100% when they're gonna start. There was an email, it was either this week or next week, they were gonna start putting the erosion control down and things like that, so. It's being sodded, which is
Yeah.
good, because if it wasn't, we would need 3 growing seasons before we could use it. So
Oh,
my
geez.
hope is spring of 25, it'll be able to
Spring
be
25.
used.
It's irrigated and all that sort of stuff too. It's gonna be there?
Yes, yeah, that
Yeah.
was it. That was a bid alternate, so we were a little worried about the budget, but we got both bid alternates in within budget, and the irrigation and electrical is part of one of those alternates.
Oh, nice. Good. That's great.
What did the final budget bid come in for that?
690.
And
Nice.
we're not going to have a pond out in right field all the time.
We will not have a pond, and that actually won't be right field either.
Oh,
So part of the reason for the expense is it's being reoriented so that that stone wall area will be the first baseline. Home plate will be all the way tucked in that corner, and you'll hit towards the senior center.
Oh, cool.
It'll be graded from that home plate area out. All of that that material that's not good, that doesn't drain well, whatever, is all going to be removed. New material is going to be brought in. A drainage system is going to be put in and graded appropriately. So it should look really nice.
Excellent. Tell all the seniors to bring their mitts. Yeah, great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks
everybody.
very much. All right. Thanks. Have a good night.
take care.
Okay. So I guess going back just quickly, I do have so we have that capital. I didn't really put anything on here for discussion of capital, but thinking out loud, next meeting and future meeting dates, unless anybody has any other business. Hearing none. When would we, I guess what I would look to put on for next agenda is going over the capital requests. What additional information do we need in order to be able to make a vote and decide where it goes? I think one of the things we probably need is sources. We know the uses that have been requested, but where are all of the sources coming from? And I think is it just going to be the capital investment fund? And I think part of the challenge, and this was enumerated a little bit last night, is if we choose, if free cash is not going to be in play for any capital items, then that could impact our sources of funding. So maybe what I'll try to do for next week is at least come to you with a kind of a skeletal, draft of where we think some of the sources might be coming from. I know we've gone through that little spreadsheet that I had done, and I know I think Jason and Clean have been keeping up with the larger spreadsheet. But just looking at what's available, we have a little over $800,000 available in capital investment fund. I think the trucks have been targeted, if we agree to support those, to come in over that debt exclusion piece that's rolling off. This year was a fire truck, so that they would be covered in that. But as far as the rest of it goes, that's what we really need to discuss. I don't know what the deadline is for the select board as to when they want us to give that, so I'll try to get that for you for next week as well.
Yeah, Chris, as far as the budget message, I would ask that for next week, we also put on the agenda selecting dates or attempting to select dates. And we talked about doing one at senior center and one at the school committee.
Right.
For our own preparation purposes, it gives us a kind of a clear deadline of when we need to get things done.
Yeah.
And it can be promoted whenever we're ready to promote it.
Right. I think we can do that in advance of completing the presentation, obviously, just to get it out there. Thanks, Ray. Yeah, dates.
And we talked to the schools about co-opting one of their meetings for a portion of it to be a budget presentation.
Have not, no. And I know that I think the schools, I think their meeting was last night actually. And I think their next meeting is in May, just before town meeting. But we could, I could request to get on the agenda for that. I know that would probably be worthwhile, and maybe drum up a little excitement, because I know those are all recorded and televised as well. So it might not be a good idea.
Well, and I would guess they would be amenable to a special meeting.
Yeah.
It's obviously it affects everybody, and
yeah.
I was also I was going to ask Jim, but I thought better of it if we have a sense on when the schools will be able to put together their projections of the impact of not passing the override.
I think they've got they're supposed to be getting that to Jen this week.
This week, okay, great.
Yeah, and I'll also try to get some kind of a budget number from Jen too, just to see where we are. I reached out to her, but I didn't hear back today. I didn't do it till late because, like you, Ray, I was breaking my back in the lovely heavy. I don't think that snow could be any heavier. The only thing I can liken it to is, carrying kegs up flights of stairs when I was in college.
Yeah, that was pretty tough.
So, and everybody else can identify with that too, can't they? Yeah, that's a metric we can all say, oh yeah, I know what that is. I know how much that's. Anyways, okay, so I've got, I'll get sources for capital, deadline for votes, dates for the educational piece, and see if the schools are interested in us co-opting a part of their meeting. That'll be for next Thursday, and then I'll reach out and see if see what folks' availability is for a Monday, Wednesday meeting for the working group, so to speak.
Yeah, I think one thing that might be helpful. I'm not sure we want to take this path, but to know the average salary for a teacher and the average salary for a town worker. People will be able to compute those numbers pretty quickly when they see the size of the deficit. Jen made it pretty clear last night that it wouldn't be, she wouldn't be kind of picking and placing things. She would be in favor of taking, library or senior center off the table so the rest of the town's intact. But to make it something.
Oh, I see. So you say so you're saying if we had delay, so if there were,
I forget the numbers for the schools, but it's like 93% salaries, and if we've got a $1.5 million shortfall, and we know the average
Right.
salary of a teacher is 60K.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a genius to do the math.
Yeah, okay.
And that's something I would expect or intend to lead with. But when we start getting questions
Just
about,
to have it, well, and that's the other thing. And I was back and forth with Leslie today, just so you know, Ray. I mean, not to get off the agenda, but on trash pickup too. How much are we getting bag fees? How much has it gone up? So she's given me some good information. I uploaded some of it, so.
Okay.
But we'll follow up on that. All right, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I really appreciate everybody hanging in for 45 minutes tonight. This is great. Unless there's any other, next meeting will be April 11th for the full FinCom and CIB. Unless anybody has anything else.
yeah, Chris, is just a general question for the next meeting. Do you want to work on the presentation a little bit more before getting feedback, or do you want feedback now?
I think let's work on it. I mean, as a working group, I think does that make sense? I mean, I saved a bunch of slides up there. You're welcome to just go in there and into the shared drive. In today's folder, I saved a new folder, PowerPoint or whatever they call it in Google. You're welcome to go and play with it and do whatever. I tried to put some reference stuff in there. I have some quite, I don't know if you were on, Ray, what I mentioned that I had gotten some additional data from Leslie. I just had some questions on kind of the machinations of how she came up with some of the percentage increases and so forth. So I've got some questions out to her. So unless if we want to spend some time and go through it, I know that's up to the group here. I mean, I think the purpose tonight was just to kind of get a working group lined up. I know we didn't really have the opportunity because of not knowing whether we were going to be looking at just a straight budget or 2.5 override or whatever it might be. Now we know. We didn't know that until late last night. So, but I'm willing to stay on if we want to. Otherwise, we can just kick it down and kick it out to the working group for next week. I'm open.
Game either way.
Anybody have a feeling? I mean, I'm not trying to force anybody. It's again, I don't know how much we can get done in 15 minutes. I want to be respectful of people's time too, right? So I don't know if
Sure,
that's something we want to kick around, but I'll open it. Jason, Pete, Mary, Greg, I don't know. You guys, you good?
6 of one, half dozen of the other. Mhm.
We're here. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Chris, I have a question. The April 11th meeting will be Zoom?
The April 11th meeting, yeah, why not? I think that's probably works best for everybody at this point, right? I don't think. I mean, I'm certainly willing to go in and meet in person, but unless you guys have a preference, I'm fine doing Zoom. I just think it's.
well, I think
quicker,
Zoom is going to be easier because we each have our screen and we can do a cooperative.
can share it and so
modification.
forth. Yeah. So that would be it.
Chris, do we want to try to pick the night or nights for the working group for next week before we wrap up?
Oh, we can. I mean, we don't have Kalina here, so I don't know if what her schedule's like, but I mean, Monday, Wednesday is what I think everybody said was available. I'm certainly willing to jump out and post a date. I don't think we have a 48 hour. Why don't we let's just see what I have next week. Why don't we shoot for Wednesday? I just think that in case there is a 48-hour thing, I don't want to create any. I mean, I guess we'd still be within the 48 hours if we posted tomorrow. So, well, we
Is
don't
it
have
the
to
same
post.
posting requirements for work.
I don't think there's a posting requirement though. So let me make sure of that. What's better for you guys? Monday, Wednesday? I'm open both.
I'm easy.
Greg, either one.
Either one works. I've just got another committee on Tuesday. But other than that, I'm good.
Jason, you care? You care or no?
I think I'm pretty free next week.
Well, why don't we let's shoot for Monday then, right? Why not? Let's get going on it at least.
Okay.
That way we won't be one day into the next. All right. Say 6 o'clock. Working group, and if that's any issue, I'll let everybody know, but I'll send out invitations and so forth. And we'll do it by Zoom. Makes sense?
Just one note of appreciation here, Chris. This year has been a lot more work than prior years, and looks to be even more so as we go forward. So I know you've been putting in an awful lot of time
Well,
coordinating and meeting, and
I'm trying to educate
much
it.
appreciated.
Yeah, trying to educate everybody so that for the next chair, that's all, whoever. So we'll all be ready, right? Right, Mary? Yeah, all right.
You
Oh,
pulling
oh.
papers to run for selectman, so we gotta replace your seat?
What's that?
Are you pulling papers? Do we have to
Oh
replace
God,
you as the chairman?
no.
So Mary's going to beat him to the poll.
Yeah.
You don't know where I'll be next week. I could be gone again.
Well, we definitely want to get an update on how your trip was too. It must have been
It was pretty
spectacular.
awesome. I gotta tell you, everybody should go there.
Really,
Oh,
huh?
Just beautiful.
Oh, good.
Outside the waterfalls and the canyons and the big volcanoes. It's just unbelievable.
Well, maybe we should plan well, maybe not next Thursday, but the following Thursday, maybe we'll do an in-person just to get see some pictures.
Absolutely.
All right.
The
Sounds
after
good.
meeting spot, perhaps.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. That
Yep.
sounds like a good idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So Chris, just to keep you in the loop too, not next week, but the week after, the week of the 14th, of course, my wife decides, oh, that's a good week to go on vacation. That's exactly what a tax accountant wants to hear, leaving on the 14th. The deadline. So I've had to browbeat all my clients and tell them, well, we're leaving on our last day is the 12th, even though
Oh,
technically you
God.
have in Massachusetts to the 17th. So I can attend via Zoom that week. Unfortunately,
that's
the commute from Virginia might be a little tough.
Might be
for an hour.
tough. That's fine.
So,
Well,
but I'm more than happy to jump on. We've scheduled a couple of days where we're just going to sit around. So,
all right. Well, yeah, we'll
just
try
keep
to.
you in the loop.
Thanks. We'll try to be judicious too. We don't want to, we'll keep it to the point, which is great. And I think I'm very happy for Zoom tonight because I had no real interest in getting out of my sweatpants and going to town,
I'll second that motion.
especially with my back killing me. But anyway,
I can't believe you shoveled snow today. I didn't touch it. I figured it's gonna melt in 3 days. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm just gonna let it look like crap for a few days.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty. Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah. I'm not-
It sleeted so long yesterday. I had a pile of sleet ice about a foot and a half
Right.
thick
Yeah.
at the edge of the roof line that would have been a real walking hazard. So,
Yeah, I had, and my wife had to go out for a PT appointment this morning, and she was like, "Oh, at the end of the driveway, there's so much." That was the worst, getting over
The
that.
end of the driveway is always the worst.
Yeah,
Yep.
that broke my back, but it was nice to be out. The nice thing about this time of year is you hear the birds, so that's the good news. That was the good news, if there's a. But all right. Thanks. We'll see you. I'll email everybody for Monday night. That's on that working group, and see you all next Thursday.
Hey,
Unless there's more, go ahead.
I have just Jason, regarding minutes. If you'd like me to do the minutes, if you send me your notes for the first part that I missed, I'd be happy to do them. Otherwise, if you want to do them, that's great too.
Yeah,
Really
I
short.
have notes. I have notes through the whole meeting, so I can do them. It's not a big deal.
Works for me. Thank you.
Great. On that,
Move to adjourn.
Second.
do we have a second? Great. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. I trust that's unanimous. Aye.
Unanimous.